Hey, Shalom, Minister Tamer. How you doing? Hopefully all is well. Getting ready to get in here. We got a few more days of not being able to go live on the main channel because they said I was selling drugs or something like that, whatever it is that they said we were doing. So that we don't go on and tell the truth. But we're going to come on here and continue to be on. Hello to those who will watch this later on YouTube. We are thankful and grateful for everybody. Trying to get our podcast up and running as well. So that'll be going in a second. And we'll go ahead and get started on, or continuing on our journey of learning some things. Let me just go ahead and get the podcast up real quick. And if you want to be able to catch up on podcasts, all these different things, all you got to do is go to Kofi, -40.com, go to #FindKofi, all these different things. So we're appreciative and thankful and grateful for everybody being with us. You just look up #FindKofi on the YouTube channel. Look up #FindKofi, FindKofi anyway. Before we get started, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. And it's in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. Aman. Shalom to everybody. Welcome. Aquaba, Habari, Jambo, mi Kofi, Nina Franco, Katana Nawewe. Namaste. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. Ni hao. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Kofi. Welcome to everybody who's coming on. And we'll see this later on different platforms. We've almost got all the stuff uploaded on the podcast. We've been sending out stuff. I'm getting slowly a little bit more time here or there to start catching up on all this paperwork that is months overdue. This is why our prayers at some point we have enough to have somebody who can start helping us out with a lot of this stuff. When you're reaching somebody worldwide, and for the most part you and your wife are doing pretty much mostly everything, it's a little difficult to get everything done on time. We're grateful though and thankful. Boker Tov to everybody as well. Papa Kashat, thank you for being on. And we're going to continue to roll, even though this platform isn't used as often. Therefore, we don't have as many people on. We believe the message is powerful and it's going to reach who it needs to reach tonight. And we're thankful for everybody. I was watching something today my wife showed me, and really it's just somebody who's a doctor who was admitting that he didn't know what was going on as far as a lot of stuff. He had and I'm sorry, when I talk about my wife, let me make sure that I show her love as usual. We give all honor and praise to the Most High for Him being with us tonight. We give all honor and praise to the Most High for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can follow her on TikTok, YouTube, and her website. She's a herbalist, a chemist, a biologist, a healer. She's a biologist by degree for those who need to say, oh, what school did she go to? You can follow her at Bloom and Flourish. That's not A-N-D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. You can follow her on TikTok, YouTube, and her website. She teaches some of the classes that we teach at within our community. And if you'd like to find out more about that, right now we're in the midst of marriage, monarchy, sovereignty, natural medicine 1, fibroid cyst, and Hebrew character. So if you'd like to join us on any of that journey, just get in touch with us. And if you want more information, just reach out. I'll try to put the information out later on. If you just simply go to our YouTube channel or our website, Kofi-40.com, KOFI-OFORI.com, or other places like that, you can find us. We're thankful and grateful to those who are on with us, those who are on the podcast, those who are listening on YouTube later on, and those who are on TikTok. Thanks in advance for the likes and allowing us to help the algorithm to grow. Shalom, the minister. Nice, I see you on here. Be the harbinger, I believe. Thank you for being on. Coleman, thanks for the likes. Everybody, thank you. We appreciate you. Let's go ahead and jump into this on this evening. And for those who are not aware, we're on every rising at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern in New York time, normally on Kofi_42, the second TikTok page. We're also on TikTok. We're also on live on the podcast. If you'd like to call in, by the way, you can just go to the Kofi at 40 podcast. You have to have the Podbean app, Podbean, and you can actually call in and voice your comments, questions, concerns, etc. Right? And we're thankful and grateful to have have platforms, multiple platforms, so where even when we're kicked off of platforms, we can still come on. Don't forget, October 30th is right around the corner. That's this Shabbat, this Saturday, or right after Shabbat, depending on how you celebrate Shabbat. And we will have our Brothers in Black events via Zoom. So if you'd like to be part of that, just let us know. We can talk about that stuff offline to help you to be able to get that Zoom link. We will be sending it out like Friday and Saturday. So we're thankful and grateful. Interesting. It was like a shadow. It looked like something was flying in here. Anyways, thank you for being on. We appreciate you. I want to talk about today, what I'm led to talk about is spiritual deficiency. I thought I was going to talk about something else. It looks like I'm going to need a little more research and was not released to be able to speak on what it was I thought, but it led me to spiritual deficiency. My wife sent me a video today, and it was about a doctor, and a doctor who is, I guess you could say, British, even though his family's not from Britain, but he lives in England or Britain or whatever you want to call it. And he was on holiday with his son. His son all of a sudden couldn't move, and they were afraid. He thought maybe his airway was blocked. He tried to pull him over, and hit the back of his back and try to get the airway flowing, and that did not work. So then they went to the hospital. His wife said, he kind of froze. His wife was like, we got to get him to the hospital. So they take his son while they were on holiday, or what they would call holiday. They take him to the hospital. Yeah, it is sad, but there's something that he got great out of it, right? They took him to the hospital, and the hospital knew what was going on. So his son was there at the hospital for 3 days, and finally they found out basically he had a calcium deficiency. And so his whole thing was saying that through that, it was a TED Talk he was giving. He basically was saying, through the experience, he recognized and realized that he learned all this stuff in science, stuff he was never taught in school, stuff that they don't teach doctors, stuff that you would think is simple, stuff that they throw away and say is holistic nonsense and all that. And come to find out that he started learning that he didn't realize that pretty much there's really no real diseases, or at least as far as how we think about diseases. This is what he said. This is not what I'm saying. This is how he described it. And he said when he learned that, he realized that basically he started figuring out that when he looked at symptoms, they started figuring out what mineral deficiencies would cause people to have symptoms. So somebody came in to him later on. His son survived and everything was fine. They made sure he had more calcium in his diet, right? And made sure he had things going on in his diet that would help his cells to hold more calcium. And his son is fine. He found somebody came in his office not too long after that had, he diagnosed her with type 2 diabetes. As far as what modern science would say, she has type 2 diabetes. Then he went to visit this person at their home 6 weeks later. The person no longer had type 2 diabetes at all, right? The person no longer had type 2 diabetes at all, which means that it was about what the person was eating. It was not about what the person had, or it wasn't about some disease that could not be figured out. And he was saying that when it comes to acute disease, people have an issue with that, right? We have an issue with that. When it comes to a disease like diabetes or chronic depression or things like that, they're supposed to be chronic. People seem to have an issue with that in the scientific community, right? Oh, thank you very much. So hold on. So you're saying there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination or observer of times, or an enchanter or witch, or a charmer or a consulter with familiar spirits, as a wizard or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination. Okay. So are we saying, I don't know, I guess it's your point, the doctors are an abomination? Are you saying that I'm an abomination? I don't understand the point. But if I'm with you, if you're trying to say you should be careful who you're going to as far as making sure your children are taken care of, if that's your overall point, I agree with that. And basically, we talk about a lot of stuff as far as, or a lot of medical issues or things of that nature, disease, sickness, mindsets, emotional things, which emotion is not just how you feel, but emotion is basically speaking about how one is, I don't know, when we talk about emotion is not just how one feels. Emotion is basically how one moves. When you think a certain way, that's emotion, because your brain has certain motions, patterns, things that happen, right? And so he learned about mineral deficiency. Now, many of us have been learning about this and living in this for quite some time, right? That it's not about being stuck in a position of doing certain things, but you have to have a certain mindset of thinking about mineral deficiency. If I'm deficient of certain minerals, I will easily have certain things. Like it's easier for somebody to get breast cancer if they don't have a lot of things that are citrus in their diet, right? That contain citrus, right? A lot of people who have blood issues, are people that don't eat things like tomatoes. A lot of people that have oxygen issues don't really eat grapes that often. Or if you have lung issues, or if you have damaged lungs and they haven't had a chance to repair. A lot of issues that have issues with their joints or inflammation, turmeric or cayenne pepper, right? If you have blood flow issues, if you have blood clots, you probably don't do a lot with cayenne pepper or things of that nature. And also too, his son's, speaking of what you're saying, Minister Anais, his son's issue was that he had calcium deficiency, but it was actually due to vitamin D deficiency, right? Which means that he probably doesn't get in the sun, probably doesn't play outside that often, right? People will talk about drinking milk because milk is supposed to be like liquid sunlight. That's actually something that not only doctors teach, but even like the Black Muslim community has somewhat started teaching that. I don't know if Farrakhan has made his way up to him, but a lot of people who say they follow Farrakhan, or at least did at some point, say that it's vitamin D deficient, but you don't have to drink milk to get sunlight or to get the sun. You could just be in the sun, and certain times you're in the sun, you can get certain things, right? That's mineral deficiencies that can be easily fixed. Well, the same thing is with spiritual deficiency, right? Hey, how you doing, Sister Sonia? Thanks for sharing the live. Same thing goes with spiritual deficiency. So many things that people are trying to treat symptoms, but nobody wants to talk about the spiritual deficiency. Now, when we go to this word, we'll even do Greco-Roman terminology, right? And we like to do that from time to time, since most people are about spirit, say that spirit doesn't exist, but they use terms like psyche, and psyche literally is soul. So if you go to a psychologist, you're going to somebody that studies your soul. A lot of people, prayerlessness. Yeah, you can talk about prayerlessness. You can talk about lack of faith, faithlessness. You could talk about morality issues, all these different things. And there's all these issues that come from it. So people say, why do people kill? Like, for example, even though black on black crime is not a real issue, right? As far as, I'm not going to say black people don't kill black people, but being like, well, black people kill black people more than they kill other people. Well, so does every other race, because races tend to live with each other. So if, white on white crime is a bad thing, and Indian on Indian crime is a bad thing, and Spanish on Spanish crime, whatever you want to label it, whatever racial category you want to throw somebody into, native on native crime, etc. Like it's a real bad issue. If you have place where, nudist colonies exist, right? Then you have crime where people in nudist colonies do crime against other people in nudist colonies. Like, if people live together, you're going to have issues with that, right? It's not a real thing, but if somebody talks about black on black crime, let's just act like it's a real thing the way that they talk about it. Why don't you think that's a morality issue? You're talking about the symptom, black people kill black people, but what about the moral issues? Right? Why are men so chauvinist? Why is this a chauvinist society? Well, is there not a issue with men not being allowed to be men? And then when a man says, I'm tired of not being allowed to be men, why is my masculinity toxic? You say, see, that's proof. He's a bad person. We shouldn't listen to him. We shouldn't talk about it. Talk about things with him. He should be shunned. See, we do these things because we don't want to deal with the actual issue. You've got a spiritual deficiency. Pneuma is where a lot of people get this word spirit from. And what does pneuma mean? P-N-E-U-M-A. Pneumatical thought, or pneuma, simply means the stoic thought that marries the spirit, the body, and the soul together. That's what it means. So if somebody's talking about pneumatical thought, or really thought in general, you're talking about a thought that has to not just be in one place, the spirit or the physical or the soul, but it has to be all three. That's where that works, right? P-N-E-U-M-A, right? That's what in the Greek, when you see a lot of people using in the Greek saying every time that you see spirit, it's a Greek word. Well, that's the word they would have used. They would have used pneuma, right? So you're dealing with a spiritual issue, someplace where the mind, the body, and the soul are supposed to work, or the spirit, the body, and the soul are supposed to come together, and something's happening in one of those three that has somebody off, right? You're dealing with a lot of spiritual deficiencies. Spiritual deficiencies leads to moral issues. So here's an example. My wife and I, we were talking this rising, and somehow, some way, we went from something to that. I think we were listening to Kent Hovind, and I was talking about him yesterday. Yeah, I was talking about him yesterday, and one of you, I think it was Sister Sonia, asked me if that was the right person. You actually looked them up, and so I looked at the link that they sent. It sure enough, it was a link I had watched a long time ago. So I started watching it this rising right after the live, and he was speaking on things that he's the person that had me research people like Stalin. Now, Stalin, people say, if you look at Russia, some people still say that he was a hero, but Joseph Stalin was somebody that killed quite a few people. When we talk about Hitler and some of these other people who killed, you got to put Stalin in that same place. Shalom, Shepard, how are you doing? As far as the many, many, many people that he killed. And you know what he said allowed him to rule the way that he did? This is Joseph Stalin. I'm not coming up with this. I'm going to use, we often, I haven't said this term or used this sentence in quite some time, but people don't recognize when we're talking about a lot of this stuff that, I say like this: if you're going to do stuff or whatever, or learn about something, or talk about history, or talk about context, I said we should always just listen to what people said. They speak for themselves. It's an apologetic term I'm looking for, but for whatever reason it's missing in my mind right now. The burden of proof. The burden of proof, even a legal term, right? Glad you're doing better. The burden of proof is not on me. The burden of proof is on those that came before me. So if I'm saying something happened, all I got to do is just, in a sense, talk to, or read, or study, or listen to what people said in their time. They speak for themselves, right? If I want to hear what Thomas Jefferson felt, right, even though, right, about, if I want to hear what Thomas Jefferson said, and I want to say Thomas Jefferson had cognitive dissonance. Shalom, Monster. How you doing? Shalom, Murdon. If I'm saying Thomas Jefferson had issues with cognitive dissonance, for example, if I say that, then the burden of proof, if what I say is real, is really not on me, but I should be saying it because he said it himself or did something that shows he had cognitive dissonance, right? So was Columbus, right? Russians are brainwashed. I mean, a lot of people, Americans are brainwashed. There are a lot of black people brainwashed, a lot of quote unquote white people brainwashed, whatever you want to call people, right? How they doing, drip back. So watch this. When I'm dealing with this stuff, here's the deal. So if I say Thomas Jefferson had cognitive dissonance, right? Then all I got to do is go back and say, okay, Thomas Jefferson said that black women were unattractive. He said that they were smelly. He said that black people were lazy. He said that black women were not attractive in the slightest. However, Thomas Jefferson had a bunch of half black babies and half white babies because he was having sex with all these black slaves. Matter of fact, there's some people now, we haven't found any proof of this. So I'm just, this part of it, I'm just telling you what somebody else said. But there are some people that would even go to the point of saying that Thomas Jefferson is actually mixed race. But we can't find any proof of it because any proof of his mother was burned and was shredded. It was gotten rid of by Thomas Jefferson himself, which shows that maybe there was a little truth to that. We don't know, right? We do know that Abraham Lincoln's mother was black Native and black African. We do know that Calvin Coolidge's mother, at least as far as paperwork lends itself to saying, seems like she was mixed race. We do know Eisenhower's mother was mixed race. We do know Barack Obama, obviously his mother was white, his father was black. We do know the first president of the Republic of the United States of America, not the first president, George Washington, under the second Constitution that you're under now, but the first, well, depending on if you're under the Constitution of the United States or the Constitution of the United States of America, but the first president that you think is the first, he actually said he had two presidents that were his favorite that came before him. And if you look up the first president that people had, if they call themselves Americans, now these new Americans, because we know Americans used to be native people to Turtle Island. Now people have changed it to something else to fit other people's meaning, or what they need their story to be, their narrative building, their ideal with an L. But your first president, that was the first president of all the presidents, including before George Washington, he was black. So, or half black, half white. So, Thomas Jefferson's talking all this stuff, but he seems to be somebody that's very much into having sex and with these people. and having his children run around, being his slaves and freeing some of them and things of that nature, he seemed to be quite okay with these things. There seems to be some cognitive dissonance. So if I say that Thomas Jefferson had cognitive dissonance, then I must be able to find it. Well, if I just look at his life and I see what he said and I see how he lived, then I see two separate things. If George Washington says I never told a lie, and yet George Washington, when he was dead, and they came out to find his body, his wife was busy throwing a bunch of papers into the fireplace so that a bunch of his history couldn't come out about him, then there seems to be some cognitive dissonance, right? If I say that we have to go back past Hitler to talk about blonde hair and blue eyes being a thing, well, all I have to do is look back at Greco-Roman kings and leaders, or in Greek ones specifically, who said that our family is better than yours because we have blue eyes and blonde hair. I don't have to worry about being in, getting it right. The burden of proof is not on me. I just have to listen and look at what other people did and what they said themselves. When somebody says Margaret Sanger, you have to understand she was a champion for the black community. Democrats did it a lot because they want to support abortion. But it's like, well, Margaret Sanger said that Jews and blacks were dangerous, and you can read what she said. She said we need to help them to make, or not. She didn't even use the term help. She said we need to just basically make sure they can't have children because they're not people that we can trust. They're not good people. They're not of a right mindset. And people nowadays try to use that to say, see, she was a champion. She helped black people. See, killing them off. That's some Bill Gates type stuff. Bill Gates, hey, if we just kill certain people, if we, the goal should be for us to be able to make sure that this many people die off, and then we'll have that much land for everybody, because there's not enough land for everybody, which is nonsense. Because I could take everybody that exists on the earth and put them in 3 counties in Florida right now. Right now, I literally could do that. I could take everybody on the planet, and it would be shoulder to shoulder, if I'm being honest with you. But I could put everybody shoulder to shoulder right in 3 counties in Florida and call it a day. If I wanted to then say, I'm going to take everybody from being shoulder to shoulder and just put them all over Florida, you would be able to exist fine. If I were to say, let me go ahead and give you the East Coast of the United States of America, you would be just fine. What if I said you could have all of the United States of America? You would be just fine. What if I could say you could have all of Canada, where there's more land where people don't even exist than land where people exist in Canada? You would be just fine. What if I gave you all of North America? You would be just fine. And what if I gave you all North and South America, right? So to say that we have a population problem and we need population control is nonsense, right? But it comes from a spiritual deficiency. First of all, spiritually, do we even know how to study? Study to show yourself approved. Then bring it to Yahweh, bring it to Elohim, that he might help you to become what? A workman that needed not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Yeah, so much land in Texas. Now I'm talking about Florida. Imagine if I took everybody in Florida, hateful behavior. See, we have people. This is why I don't like doing this stuff. So we got you guys. Those who were on the podcast, we got you. So now people are lying on us and things like that. Right? So TikTok now, this has got to be TikTok sending people to come into the lives and stuff and lie. So I guess we've been kicked off of that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I guess we're going to have to legally file something or contact somebody on TikTok, because yeah, this is getting crazy. But anyways, you guys will be able to see this later on YouTube. I'm sorry about that. So once again, but literally we didn't say anything. So somebody said we were doing hateful behaviors. I guess that was what just popped up. Matter of fact, while I'm here on YouTube, when we're on the podcast, I'm sorry, you'll have to watch me put a video together on this. So real quick, I'm sorry guys, but we got to do what we got to do. It's almost time for me to take my leave anyway. So let me just hit this real quick. So I was on TikTok. I just have gotten kicked off of the second page because they said that we were selling illegal stuff. Now I've been kicked off of the first page that I came to do lives on, because we were talking about spiritual deficiency, and we talked about the fact that there are many people who are out here saying a lot of stuff that's terrible and bad, and how Thomas Jefferson treated people poorly and all this stuff. And now here we are being kicked out of this because somebody said we had hateful behavior. So just making it known, just letting it be known and putting it out there so you guys know. I guess we're going to have to make sure that we find a way, to get TikTok to get themselves together. And I guess if we have to get legal action, because I'm cool with being on somebody else's platform, but somebody's going to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do according to their laws and their customs and traditions and all this stuff. They're not going to be against their own policy. So just letting you guys know this. I apologize for those who've been trying to find us. Now they're taking us away on TikTok, so I guess we'll be on the podcast, and maybe we'll do IG, maybe we'll do Facebook in the rising. I don't know, but just letting you guys know what's up. So keep us in prayer, and if you are somebody who's ever been on our lives before or whatever, and you feel like this is nonsense, feel free to go here on Kofi_40 or on Kofi_42, and at TikTok, and start asking them, like, why is it that we're literally being lied on and they're okay with that? So I'm going to try and I don't know if somebody can even kind of show me. I know Minister Tamara a while ago showed me how to get in contact with somebody about what is it? About who worked for TikTok or whatever, but somebody needs to figure out how to make this work, because this is obviously like a big thing they're trying to do at this point, is trying their hardest to lie and say that we're saying stuff that we didn't say. So I don't know if we'll be on live on TikTok tomorrow. It doesn't mean we won't be on live on the podcast or anywhere else. Just once again, hashtag FindKofi, hashtag FindKofi. Matter of fact, let's do it like this. Tomorrow we will guarantee we'll be on Facebook. So those of you who follow on Facebook, just go ahead and find us, and we will make sure that we have this conversation. Then continue our Sermon on the Mount series. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep pressing, and that's what it is. So thank you guys. We appreciate you. TikTok, you need to find a way either to stop doing this to yourself, because we're coming to you. So at this point, stop doing it to yourself, or stop allowing people to just be able to say lies and back it up, rather than defend people who literally, if nothing else, get tens of thousands of views, which would be something that you like. But anyways, we'll talk to you later. Look us up. Shalom. Peace. So we'll go ahead and load that up. I'm on TikTok. I just have gotten kicked off of the second page because they. So, yeah, but this is stuff that you have to be ready for too. Literally. So as we grow and as we get bigger, people try to find a way to get you to be silenced, and you got to be ready. Are you ready for those things, as we can see? But yeah, so it's spiritual deficiency. Spiritual deficiency has somebody come on and say, we're going to lie about you, and we're going to have you, we're going to do something to you that is, is a lie, and say that it's okay. Spiritual deficiency causes those types of things. And you have to be, ready for that. You have to realize that. You have to be thoughtful of that. You have to go past that. And that spiritual deficiency causes somebody, even when you call it out, to say that you're the liar, to say that you're the bad person. Your children were on tonight. I apologize. Well, it was great to see them, or great to have them on. We're thankful and grateful for that. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate your children being on. So if they're listening, let them know that we say hello. We're thankful and grateful. But these are the things that you have to be ready for. It's spiritual deficiency. We're not fighting a whole bunch of stuff. We're really fighting spiritual deficiency. The other stuff is just symptoms of spiritual deficiency. People don't want to be moral. That's spiritual deficiency. People don't want to be about marriage. That's spiritual deficiency. People want to lie on you because they say that your truth is lies because they won't study. That's spiritual deficiency. We have to hashtag finish strong and pursue in our year of pursuit spiritual efficiency, right? How efficient are you in your spiritual walk, in your spiritual journey? How efficient are you in TikTok? I just have gotten. Sorry. How efficient are you in your love towards others? How efficient are you even in your love towards your enemies? Because even in going towards TikTok, we're going to do it in love, right? I'm not here to say TikTok is terrible and this, that, or whatever, but we are here to make it a point to show, the hypocrisy and the cognitive dissonance. And when that happens, we're going to call out stuff, because we are not spiritually deficient. We are spiritually efficient. So I'm going to go ahead and bring to a close this. Thank you so much. We know that we're being hunted. And once again, though, all the stuff we're talking about, are we ready for it, right? Matthew chapter 5, verses 10 through 12. When people say all manner of evil against you because you're simply doing what Yahweh says, we should rejoice and be exceeding glad, right? It's time now to rejoice, to jump at the opportunity over and over again to be able to make sure that we are spiritually efficient in an environment of spiritual deficiency. All right. So thank you so much. We're thankful to everybody once again. We're thankful to my wife, the Honorable Maya. You can follow her on TikTok and YouTube by going and looking up Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. And you can find her on TikTok, YouTube, and her website. We will be on. If you want to look for me to be on live, we'll try to do it on Facebook. And that way, at least you can see me. We'll make sure we're recorded on YouTube tomorrow, and we'll make sure we're here on the podcast. So look us up. We're appreciative. We're thankful. We're grateful. And as always, this has been Pastor Kofi, a.k.a. the Shadow Band One, pastor of Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason this world changes for the better. Bare minimum will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, fam. Peace.